I think presenting complicated ideas in a simple way is something I want to try to master.
Today I would like to argue the importance of experimentation in music. Hi, my name's John Prada. I'm an artist, YouTuber, and streamer based in Las Vegas, and experimentation is something that's very important to me and my music, and even my content creation in general. When talking about my taste in music or my favorite albums, they usually tend to be ones that are more different, more loud, more experimental in nature, and I want to stress how important this is in general, not to make me sound like some special being or whatever that has good taste or whatever the hell, but more to stress how much we need to step away from conventional boundaries and how much good it brings in general. The music industry was built and is still built on artists being these one-sided figures that are supposed to be perfect and supposed to agree on every political issue that's out there, and just supposed to have music that's not too crazy, nothing happens too much. These are the big hits that are on the radio. It always has been that way. But I will say, with the internet, I think that there is an increase for music that is a lot more experimental in nature. Some of the artists to name may be JPEG Mafia, of recent Jane Remover as well. And experimentation doesn't have to be to these niche, album of the year, rate your music type of artists that you might be able to categorize them under that. But even when we have albums like Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division, these kind of sounds that end up influencing a greater generation of music, when you don't have experimentation like that, there's nothing to build off of. And I'm scared that we're going to lose that as the art form. It's so important that experimentation occurs and that new use of sounds occur, because that's how we make new music. But in the internet age, we have so much music and there's so many micro genres that in what way do we progress forward in the mainstream way? You know what I mean? Like, we have bands back then that were projecting new sounds onto the mainstream, and although we may have that in a different capacity here, it's not to the same extent because of the amount of music that we have, I believe. So I think that there needs to be some kind of push in that regard, because experimental music is like what is music. Like, it's what art is. It's what keeps it alive, and I feel like that's what should be being recognized, and that's what should be pushed in general. I will say with more internet core sounds like hyperpop, those sounds are being pushed pretty widely to my generation, and I think that's a great thing, because there's a lot of sounds on hyperpop songs, obviously, that are not super conventional or whatever. And again, to mention Jane Remover again, the project that she released this year is not in any way regular or normal, and I still see it getting a lot of traction outside of the usual music nerd conversation or group of people like myself, I guess you would say. And I think that push in particular is just really, really important, because if you listen to that album, Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover, it is loud, it is abrasive, it is maybe tough to listen to for some that aren't used to those kind of sounds, and it's overall not something that you would expect to have a massive push on the internet, but it does. And I think it also shows that people are looking for artistic integrity. People are looking for artists to have individual new sounds and new vibes to them. And I think that part shows us kind of why I end up debunking my fear about us just ending up with no music because of the lack of experimentation that exists, because again, experimental music is always going to be more underground or take a backseat in the conversation of music, instead of mainstream, right? That's just kind of how it's going to be, and I think that I find myself looking at all the mainstream songs that are out there and just how boring some of them are just getting, and then I get worried about art as a whole and how people don't want to be themselves anymore. They want to be different people, and they just want to act like other people. But then I noticed that there is still a lot of art and it's still a lot of genuine experimentation that goes on behind the scenes, kind of taking a step back, and it looks like we're going to be okay. But I just needed to make this video because I wanted to express that experimentation is literally what drives music forward and what drives genres forward, what creates genres, what moves the culture. It's so important. So it's something that I think we need to talk about is experimentation. You know, what's the way that we continue to push that? Because people are more creative than ever, I believe, from what I've seen, although I didn't live 30 years ago, so I don't know who I am to say that. But like, these resources are available to a lot more people to end up making weird music. So I think that even if it's not going to be pushed for some big gain, I encourage everyone to make fucking weird music and stop wanting to sound like everyone else, because that's so fucking boring, and that's like cuts down the entire point of making music. Why are you making music if you just want to sound like other people? Like, go read a book or something. Like, go fucking watch a movie. I don't know. What do you like? That's not the point of making art. It's not the point of making art is to be like everyone else. Sure, you can have influences. Sure, you can wear your influences on your sleeve, maybe even as well. But to just be like other people and like purposely seek that out is just stupid to me. Yeah, little rant for you guys, and let me know what's up with how you guys think on this topic. Again, my name is John Prada. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, like and subscribe, and I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time. Peace.